Hey everyone, I'm Adam Kraut, and we're going to try a new show here on the Gun Collective called The Legal Brief. This show is going to be where we crush the various legal myths and misinformation surrounding various areas of the gun world. Do me a favor, if you guys like this show and want to see more, let us know in the comments below. Today we're going to be talking about everybody's new favorite topic, ATF 41F.
I talk all the time about having fun while you train. Well, RE Factor Tactical knows how to have fun with their Menace to Society target packs. Included are some of the most hated a-holes from the 21st century, like Gaddafi, Hussein, the boys and the father, and a bunch of others in the ISIS flag too, because F them, right? Whether you're just out there running drills, or if you just want to shoot them in the face, a lot, the Menace to Society targets can help. To get 10% off your entire order, click the link in the description to head over to refactortactical.com and use the code TGC10.
As the implementation date for ATF 41F is rapidly approaching, a number of people still have no idea what the hell it actually means for them. So, in order to make it simple for you guys, I'm going to break this down into two parts. First, starting how the individual applicant is affected, and then moving on to how a trust or other legal entities are affected by it. Before we get started though, I would just like to thank the National Firearms Trade and Collectors Association, NFATCA, for making this burden possible by petitioning ATF to enter into rulemaking under the false pretense that prohibited persons were using trusts to obtain NFA firearms in order to skip background checks. The laundry list of instances you guys produced where this actually occurred was really overwhelming. I mean, you had one and that guy got caught. Good work, guys. Nice job. Now, the first part. If you're an individual, the rules haven't changed all that much. You will still be required to submit fingerprints and photographs. However, you're no longer going to need your chief law enforcement officer or CLEO to sign off on that form. This is great news for those of you who live in an area like Philadelphia where even if hell were frozen over, I mean really frozen over, you weren't getting anything signed. While you won't need a signature, ATF does require you notify the CLEO by submitting a copy of the Form 1 or Form 4 to them before you send anything over to ATF. And like any other government agency, ATF has yet to tell us how we're actually going to notify the CLEO. So, smoke signal, fax machine, email, mail, your guess is as good as mine. Now, onto the part that's really pissing the most people off. If you're using a trust or another legal entity like a corporation, LLC, or a partnership to buy NFA firearms, the rules have changed quite a bit. Thanks again to the NFATCA, as a result of this rulemaking process, ATF created this new role called responsible person. So rather than bore you to death with a wall of text that is the definition of a responsible person, I'll just put a link in the show notes so you can see for yourself. Just a warning though, you may try to destroy your portable electronic device after reading it. Basically, if you can manage or direct the legal entity to receive, possess, or dispose of firearms, you are a responsible person. So when we're talking about a trust, if you're a trustee, it's a safe bet you're a responsible person. Successor trustees, beneficiaries, and conditional beneficiaries need not worry, mainly because the ATF doesn't care about you. If you're using a different legal entity, such as a corporation, an LLC, or a partnership, and you're an officer of one of those, it's a safe bet you're going to be a responsible person. Obviously, you want to check with your legal counsel to confirm who in your entity is actually going to be a responsible person. Thanks again to the NFATCA. Man, they're really batting 1,000 with this one. Now, all responsible persons are going to be required to submit their fingerprints, photographs, and the newly created Responsible Person Questionnaire with each application that's filed on or after July 13th. It's as ridiculous as it sounds. And as if it were some kind of small consolation prize, ATF was kind enough to not require you to submit your actual trust or other document, if you're using one of those other legal entities, with each application, provided you had submitted it within the previous 24 months and there had been no changes to it. For those of you that have had trusts drafted by myself or other attorneys at my firm, I can hear the trees thanking you for not killing the entire forest every time you want a new NFA firearm. Instead of submitting a copy of your legal document, you're only going to need to submit a certification that the information has not changed since the prior approval and identify the previous application for which the documentation had been submitted for by a few things, like the form number, serial number, and the date it was approved. I mean, there's really nothing to it, right? Don't forget, ATF requires trusts and other legal entities to notify the CLEO before submitting the application to ATF. the same way you would for an application as an individual. However, what isn't clear is going to be whether ATF will require a legal entity to submit a copy of the Form 1, Form 4, and the responsible person questionnaire, or if it's going to be one or the other. So a copy of the Form 1, Form 4, or the responsible person questionnaire. In an effort to clear the air, I contacted the NFA branch, who, get this, right, this is really good, told me that no one could answer my question until after July 13th. Thanks, guys. I didn't realize Nancy Pelosi got a job with you over at ATF and was encouraging people to pass things to find out what's actually in them. Don't worry, I have emails out to both the NFA branch attorney and Uncle Ted Clutter, the head of the NFA branch, to see what they have to say. Once I get a response, I'll be sure to update you. While everyone with a Facebook law degree, and don't worry, mine came from an accredited law school, really expensive piece of paper on my wall at the office to prove that, is crying that trusts are useless with this new regulatory change, they aren't quite correct. If you were using a trust for the estate planning benefits, and that's for making sure stuff goes where you want after you kick the bucket, or the ability of others to use and possess the trust assets while you're not immediately present, those benefits still exist. However, if you were only using it because your Clio would not sign on the form, that benefit's admittedly gone once this goes into effect. With the changes to the regulations set to take effect on July 13th of this year, a number of people are scrambling to get Form 1 and Form 4 submitted prior to this actually happening. The good news, ATF has said that as long as your application is postmarked, that's right, postmarked prior to July 13th, it'll be judged under the current regulations. So for those of you keeping track at home with legal entities, that means no fingerprints, no photographs, no responsible person questionnaire, and no NFA TCA nonsense. Hopefully that clears up some of the misunderstanding revolving around this issue for you guys. If you have a question you want answered on this show, do me a favor, drop them down in the comments below. Make sure to like the Gun Collective on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Full30, Snapchat, and wherever else you can catch us on social media. And as always, thanks for watching.